So you have graduated from body weight squats and goblet squats and front squats, and now you're ready to get into back squats. This is a super exciting time for you when you're progressing with your training and you're about to just take your strength to a whole new level when incorporating the barbell. So let's talk about how to make this a little bit less intimidating for those of you who may be beginners, and for those of you who may be intermediate. Hopefully you'll find a tip in here that can help you maximize your strength. I'm gonna go over everything squat rack, so the different parts of it and how to set it up so that you keep yourself and your training partners safe. So there's tons of different kinds of squat racks. There's fold-away squat racks, there's half squat racks. This one is the Rogue Monster Light squat rack, and these are the uprights, so front and back uprights here. These are the J-hooks, all right, and typically they'll just slide in here and hook down like this. These are going to be safety pins, and I'll go over what those are later. And we've got some attachments for bands and a hip thrust pad, and some pegs to keep the weights on the back of the rack. We also have spotter arms, which I'll go over. I'll install those and go over that later. But for now, I just want to make you familiar with the different parts of the rack and how to use things properly. All right, let's talk about setting up for squats based on the equipment that you have available and based on what your training environment is like. So typically, we're going to set the J-hooks up facing out so that when you step under the barbell and back up, you'll be walking away from the rack, and the rack is in front of you. Assuming that you have training partners that are spotting you, or if you have spotter arms, that is an acceptable option to squat outside of the rack. Sometimes if I'm going heavy and I don't feel like setting up the spotter arms, I will squat inside the rack, meaning I'll turn these J-hooks so that they're facing inside, and I'm actually standing inside of the rack, okay? And I'll use these safety pins as my makeshift spotter. Sometimes you'll see people that are squatting and they take the bar out and then they walk forward so that the rack is behind them. Yes, there are some countries that do that. However, it's in your best interest to face the rack so that you can step forward. I never like to guess where I'm going, especially if I have to get rid of the weight quickly. I like to see what's in front of me and know that I'm going to hit those J-hooks and not have it crash into my spine, number one, or just completely miss the J-hooks because I can't see them. So typically you're going to squat facing the rack or inside. One thing I want to mention real quick is paying attention to the size of the barbell, the weight of the barbell that you're using. There's a lot of different kinds of barbells that have a lot of different weights and mechanisms. Typically, you're going to see a 45-pound standard Olympic barbell. In most gyms, they have that. But if you happen to be at a gym that has specialized barbells, such as this one, this is a 55-pound squat bar. It's a little bit thicker and it's a little bit longer to allow for more room when you're backing out of the rack. But there's also a 50-pound barbell that's curved. I have a SSB bar that's 65 pounds. So just be aware of the weight of the barbell that you're using. Typically on the end cap here, if you look at this, it'll tell you, not on all barbells, but it will tell you the weight of the bar that you're using. I mentioned if you don't have spotters, if you're training by yourself, different safety options. So these pins are one option, but I'm going to show you what it looks like, how to set up with the spotter arm. Every rack is different, but these just slide out like this. And you want to make sure you get these out of the way, put them somewhere safe so that you don't trip over them, because in a gym where the floor is black and most of the equipment is black, it can make it hard to see, and several times I have rolled over those things. So once again, you're just gonna slide this out and then put them somewhere. So when setting up the spotter arms, it's important to know what depth you squat at. So if you tend to squat high, you need to make sure that you do a couple reps with the barbell first to make sure that you set up your spotter arms in the correct position. Too high and you're gonna hit the racks when you're going down. Too low, if you need to get rid of that barbell or sit down into that squat to get rid of the barbell, you wanna make sure that it's actually gonna help you when you need it. So in this case, I'm gonna set these at 13. And what I've done to make it a little bit easier here is I've numbered the holes. So I don't number every single hole, but every 5th hole has a number on it, so it just makes it easier if you're working with someone, or so you don't have to count and guess every single time. I just took a metallic marker and marked the numbers on there. Now let's talk about setting yourself up for success in your squats by where to place the J hooks and how to step under the barbell and where to place the barbell on your back. So just from experience, I know my squat height is at 36. Once again, those numbered holes are really easy. So I place this J hook in 36 and I turn it to make sure it's secure, all right? Get that barbell back up there. So if the barbell is too high when you go to squat, you may have to, if your barbell is way too high, you're gonna have to stand on your tippy toes to get it out of the rack. And depending on how much weight you have on the bar, you don't wanna be doing a calf raise with a barbell on your back. So you want the bar to be slightly lower, probably about right here for most people. And once again, it's gonna take a little playing with to make sure you get the right height. However, you want to stand up just a little bit to unrack, just enough to clear those J hooks. Now that we have our squat height figured out, we've got our safety mechanisms in place, where do you put the barbell and how do you line yourself up if you are squatting by yourself? Most barbells are going to have some kind of center knurling, which is where you want to put your head under in order to center that barbell on your back. I see a lot of times people are placing the barbell on their spine, on their actual bones, okay? No good, all right? They do make a squat barbell pad, which I'll go over in just a minute. However, if you want to maximize your strength and you want to perfect your squat technique, a barbell pad is probably not going to be the best option to do that. So let's learn how to squat without the barbell pad. All right, so you want to make sure this barbell is centered, all right, you have equal amount sticking out on each side. It starts with hand placement for me, so I'm looking at these rings right here, and I'm placing my hands just inside of them. And once again, it's going to take time for you to figure out where your hand placement should be, but you'll get that in time. So I'm going to duck my head right under the center knurling here, and I'm going to place that barbell on my traps. Okay, if you have an issue where your traps are not big enough, then we need to build our traps in order to build a nice shelf for that barbell to rest. So I'm going to step under, and I'm going to get my hips under the barbell, okay? I'm gripping it tight. My fingers are not like this. I'm not just hoping and praying that that barbell stays where it is. I have a firm grip. My elbows are tucked in. I get my weight under the bar. I stand up, make sure I clear the J hooks, and step back, all right? 2 to 3 steps back are generally all you need to clear those J hooks. Once that barbell is safe and secure and you feel ready to squat, you're gonna get your good brace and you're gonna go down into your squat and back up. Now, if you find yourself in a situation where you get down in the bottom of a squat and you cannot lift it up, here's how you're going to handle that with the spotter arms. So you get to the bottom of the squat and you realize that you just cannot get back up. You're simply going to sit down and set that bar on top of those J hooks and shimmy your way out of there to safety. Now, re-racking the barbell, you should be able to step in and you should already be above the J hooks. So once you hit those uprights, all you have to do is put the barbell down and then duck back out. I see a lot of people using a barbell pad. You might see these at your gym, and I understand the concept of them so that your back doesn't hurt. However, over time, if we want to maximize our strength and maximize the amount of weight we can lift on the barbell, we're going to want to build our traps. Those are the muscles on either side up here that give you a nice, strong looking back and a really good support for this barbell. So if you're using this, fine, that's your thing. But let's think about building our traps so that we don't have to use this. You'll notice that it has a slit in it so that it can fit around the barbell. You want to make sure that that slit is facing up so that when you do rest the barbell on your back, it doesn't just slide out. All right, so we're going to make sure this is centered on the center knurling here. And I'm going to step under the barbell just like I would without the barbell pad. Everything's the same. I'm going to get my hips under the barbell, unrack, take a couple of steps back, enough to clear the J hooks, get nice and settled, get my brace, and squat. Once again, I'm going to walk it in, hit the uprights, sit it down upon the J-hooks, and you're done. Like I said, it's fine to use this, but let's start building our traps so that we don't have to rely on this. Hopefully you found this video helpful. We covered the squat rack, the different parts and components, different options for safety, how to properly place the barbell on our back, and how to walk out our squats. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone who may also find it helpful, and I cannot wait to see you maximize your strength gains under the barbell.